Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is what is it, Sam?
Warlock Wednesday.
Warlock Wednesday. This
We're
way.
burning through all the invocations. We got like 10 left.
Yeah, there's
We're
only a
we're
handful
closing in
left.
on it. Yeah.
And
I really
today, oh, go ahead.
just ends to say like just how many of these there are. We've been doing this for like a year, every single Wednesday, and there's
Yeah.
still more.
Yeah, but we're burning through them. Today's invocation is Shroud of Shadow.
Go on. It's 15th level prerequisite from Xanathar's Guide to
Ouch.
Everything. Yeah, this is the top end invocations, and it's like interesting. So this is very simple. You can cast invisibility at will without expending a spell slot.
I like those words.
Yeah, me too. It's
Not,
neat,
not super keen on the 15th level prerequisite.
and I think that's like that reduces the quantity of tables I think that will find this as like an exciting or interesting new ability. Um,
Well,
Mainly
I
just
think
because,
it significantly reduces the tables that'll ever get there.
yeah, it's also true. 15th level is a tall order for many tables. But like my main concern with it, like let's say you are at a table that is playing into the mid to upper tiers, right? Those games really favor people that are full casters. They really favor having full spellcasting repertoires like bards, warlock, or bard, sorcerers, wizards, clerics, druids, those classes, right? And even outside those classes, we have things like Ranger, we have things like Paladin that get pretty robust access to spellcasting. And invisibility is on a lot of their spell lists, and it's a second level spell. So at this tier, it's really inexpensive to get access to. Like whenever you would want invisibility, you probably have had it. And because it can target other people, the wizard can cast it on the warlock if they want to be invisible, right? You have the means of getting easy access to invisibility in an abundance of other ways. So that when you get to 15 level, you have to go, okay, well, I'm definitely we have enough invisibility. We've reached critical mass of casting invisibility. We've got 7th level spell slots. We've got 3 second level spell slots on a bunch of different characters. We don't really have that much of an issue putting the spell out there at a lot of groups. And that's where I'm like, okay, that 50 level prereq really makes it feel like there isn't room for this to shine. If it were at like 7th or 8th level or 9th level, I'd be like, okay, that's pretty spicy because warlocks normally don't like casting invisibility because they have pack magic and they always have to upcast. And you don't always want to upcast invisibility. But like with so many other characters wanting this readily, cheaply available spell, I find that while I like Shroud of Shadow conceptually a lot, I don't know how many tables will really be able to make it shine and like actually feel excited to get it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, invisibility is one of those things that is always going to be useful, no
Yeah,
matter what game, what tier of play you're in. You will find uses for this
yeah,
if you have it. And like you said, all right, warlocks, maybe they want invisibility, but they don't want to, spend one of their precious few slots on it. So it shines well enough for them, I suppose. Anything
yeah. It also really
like I said at the
helps that
beginning,
the upper tier
anything.
invocations blow.
Yeah, well, and another thing is, when you get to this level, I mean, hopefully you've got all the invocations that you wanted for your build, whatever you're aiming for, and now you're just picking some gravy. I think
Yeah,
this
at
is
this
good
point, you
gravy.
probably yeah, you probably have got your full Warlock Martial build down or your full Agonizing Blast builds, all the things that you'd want for your in-combat action, right? This is something that you pick up as extra utility on top of the rest. And at that point, I think it's pretty close to something like Mask of Many Forms where you get Sky Self at will, just
Mm.
because it's, again, a readily accessible feature that's going to add more to your flavor than it's going to really add to, like, your power level at this point, just because it's not a new thing. This isn't like a new powerful element. It's just a large resource well of a resource you might want. There is a critical mass though, right? Like you don't having access to invisibility twice per day is usually enough if like you want to do things with invisibility. You're not going to often find times I think that you're going to want 10 uses of invisibility and this is giving you like a new powerful
All right.
effect,
Well,
right?
I mean, I've got one right off the top of my head. You need to sneak the whole party past some guards or something.
So you send them in
Okay.
one at a time
One
invisible.
at a time. Yeah,
Sure.
that's fun.
That's cute. An upcast invisibility does that just the same, right?
Yeah, but you don't want this. Is not an upcast. You're not spending an even greater level spell slot on this.
Yeah, but like again, because warlocks have to they have to upcast if they want to use their pack
Right.
magic slots, and they can learn invisibility. So like just having invisibility on your spell list kind of does the same thing, and is this like enough? But then again, you don't necessarily want to spend the spell slots there. You want to do summon stuff, maybe. And then in that instance, this was fine. This was, yeah, okay, I would take that. 15th level still doesn't feel that exciting, right? Again, we're at a tier that have 7th and 8th level spells where gates available, and you're getting like big teleportation options. And if we're talking about sneaking past guards at 15th level, I'm like, what are we doing?
First example that came off the top of my head.
Sure.
There are other uses for invisibility.
Big Baylor guards that you really don't want to have see you. Sure. Yeah. Like, the other thing, this being concentration based does mean that it's not really at will. It's at will while you don't want to concentrate on one of your upper tier spells. It's at will while you don't want to concentrate on your Mystic Arcanums and stuff. And that, I think, makes it...
still at will.
Yeah, but you don't want to break that concentration, right? Like, the window for using it is still limited by the nature of the spell.
Sure.
I'm really happy that they didn't make this self-cast only. I think this would be substantially worse if it was self-cast only.
Absolutely.
So that's in its favor. A lot of these effects like to do that. A lot of these effects like to be like, oh, you can only cast this on yourself if you have it at will, like the levitate at will, right? I don't know. I have a really hard time getting excited for a 15th level feature that gives me a 2nd level spell slot. You know?
Yes, when worded that way, it doesn't sound great.
No.
However, I mean, like we've talked about some of these invocations that have the words that I like, at will without using spell slots. And a couple of them I've been, well, that's not really worth it. No, I can't remember which ones. But this one, despite being a 2nd level spell, you now freely use at 15th level. I'm still kind of excited about it. Not over the moon, but I think it's fun, and I think you'll still have plenty of uses for it.
I also think there's an archetype of character that really likes this, right? If you're playing the Shadow Touched or the Fey kind of warlock and you want to feel like you're sneaky and tricksy and invisible all the time, this one goes right into that character fantasy. And like even outside of combat, even whenever it's mainly for roleplay purposes, it does a fantastic job giving you I'm gone. Like by default, I'm invisible. That's a really handy little thing to enhance a character fantasy, right? Like there is something to be said for just whenever we're going around, I'm not visible. That's pretty cool. And we'll have some amount of like, not that major impact on world or like realistic tactics. I don't think a lot of villains are going to change how they approach a party by seeing 4 characters instead of 5, but it's still a nice little, whenever we engage in a fight, I come out of invisibility and have advantage on my attack rolls out the gate. That's quite a cool little given. That's also given that you don't want to concentrate on something prior to that fight, but it is going to be a non-zero amount of characters that can make some kind of use out of that. And that gets it points.
I have an invisibility question.
Sure.
All right. So you turn invisible, concentration, and the effect ends if you attack or cast a spell.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, suppose you cast it on someone else.
Yeah.
Now, does it end if you attack or cast a spell, or if they attack or cast a spell, or both?
The spell ends for a target that attacks or casts the spell. So if you're the target of your spell, if you attack, the spell ends. If your fighter is the target of your spell, the spell only ends if they attack or cast a spell. You can keep casting spells and doing other things if you make someone else invisible.
That's kind of cool. So you can cast invisibility on the rogue. You keep Eldritch blasting, and they remain invisible until they get into the position they want to be in.
And I will say, like, there definitely will be some upper tier encounters at more... Like, they're 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. If you're in a really tactical combat kind of encounters where objectives aren't kill or be killed, where you have more complex battle maps with lots of things going on, there will be a non-zero amount of encounters where you invisibilitying something and using your actions to attack while they take non-attack actions that meaningfully impact winning the fight. By that means, I mean, like, completing different objectives, getting objects from point A to point B, right. Sneaking in, unlocking a door, closing a giant arcane gate or whatever. That's going to be really good in that circumstance. And then at the tables that do very, very little combat, that do the mostly roleplay based combat where it's more of a big set piece and a story moment, that's kind of the same thing, where they're not really focusing in on the mechanics of it. So you taking attack actions isn't the end of the world, but it's still something that contributes to winning the fight. But the invisibility character is going to have a lot more impact on the big climactic set piece event. That's kind of cool. In the middle tables that are more, combat tactical killer be killed encounters where you're just throwing giant CR monsters with giant bags of hit points at players, they're going to find a little bit less use for that particular instance. Particular, I make the rogue invisible while I blast away because the rogue wants to attack. But in some tables we'll find use for that.
Just the question, yeah,
for sure.
All right. Well, anything else you want to say about this? It's Pretty
It's
straightforward.
reasonable.
Yeah, it is reasonable.
I think this probably could afford to be lower level, although I would imagine it would get changed to be self-cast only, and I don't know if it really benefits that much from being higher level, but anyone can be targeted by it. Like, there's probably a cheaper version of this I'd be have a lot more fun with, and when I feel like I could build characters around. I have a hard time building my character around a 15th level feature, so it's more like that's neat. I can kind of pick up this cute little utility thing. That's fine, I guess. I think
See,
most tables don't need it, but
that's what I kind of like about it. You know, you're not building around this, but when you get there, it's a nice little reward if you've already got all the crap you want.
sure, it's just kind of like, yeah, sure, why not invisibility at will?
Yeah.
Like, it could be fine. I think it gets a 3. Like, I don't think any table is ever going to get blown away by this. At the same time, visibility is a really good spell. Having infinite uses of it, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. That's cute. It's not the best of the at-will casts. I think that's like Misty Visions or False Life or any of the really cheap ones you get out the gate that majorly impact how you play the entire game. But for a capstone one, yeah, why not? Probably going to be cheaper, but invisibility's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick it up a notch. I'm gonna give it a 4. I think invisibility is that good, and having it at will. Yes, it is a 2nd level spell. You're getting it 15th level, but at will, willy-nilly uses on all your friends. I think there's a lot of potential there, and
Sure.
it makes me happy.
And hopefully one of the 5 core classes that all versions of their characters get access to it, and the myriad of subclasses that get access to invisibility aren't present at your table, so you don't really feel like you're competing with that resource, which I think is going to happen a lot. But yeah, it's fine still.
All right. Well, that was Shroud of Shadow. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.